Hello, you're listening to the Singer's Success Path podcast. I'm your host, Kamara Morell, and on this show, we discuss all things making money as singers without having to perform live. Okay, guys, today's talk is how to lose a client in 10 steps. If you prefer not to land the job, not to get rehired, and you like pissing off your potential long term music partners, I've got 10 tips for you. However, if you would actually like to build great relationships with clients and become the go to singer for many music makers, you can do the opposite of this list. And also, I'm going to share with you 10 more do's. I get it that sometimes we've just got so many balls in the air, juggling the most, lots of moving parts. Sometimes we can be a little robotic, a little transactional, and just in our own little bubble that we don't realize we might be guilty of some of these don'ts. Quick side note, I'll probably refer to these in the context of our interactions with clients on certain websites like Soundbetter and AirGigs, but these definitely apply to clients that come through your own website and social media and things like that. The first one on our list is long response time. This is a biggie for two reasons. It works against you with the client's patience, and it works against you with the algorithm on these websites, hurting your visibility on some platforms. It's so important to be on top of this and not potentially lose out on a client who could very well be a recurring client. Several of my best clients have hired me so many times over the years. They've individually paid me about $75,000, just that one client. Imagine if you missed out on a new 75K client because you didn't respond fast enough, so they hired someone else. I just experienced being on the other side of this when I needed to hire a cleaning service in an emergency context. I had a good conversation going with one company and it felt like they were the one. However, when their communication started to slow, I just went and hired someone else. This wasn't even an egregious slowdown. I was just really trying to get someone in my house within hours. So they lost my business. If you're on a website like Soundbetter, response time is one of the biggest algorithmic factors that website has to look to push your profile closer to the top of the list. The website's job is to provide the best experience for its customers. And if your response time is slow, you may not be trusted to give excellent service. So, response time, that's a big one. Okay, second on our list, you don't tune your vocals. If you don't tune your vocals with auto-tune, Melodyne, or Waves Tune Live even, your product is not up to current industry standards. When a prospective client hears your demo, they can tell right away that something feels unprofessional if your vocals aren't tuned. I'm not saying this will be 100% of the time. You may have a natural grassroots sound that someone really wants, but I bet you $5 that once they get your vocals, they're going to tune them. This should already be part of your service. I'm so tired of talking about this, so if you need more reasons than this, check out one of my blog posts on tuning or go watch my free vocal production workshop. It's at singerssuccesspath.com. Okay, third, don't overemphasize your terms of service and your opening communications. I've even seen people write terms in their initial proposal about what royalty split they require, or they'll write to the client that they can't use their name, tell them there are no refunds, tell them they only do a small handful of revisions. I mean, talk about a buzzkill. There's a real human being, a creative being, vulnerably reaching out to a stranger to invite them to be part of their song baby. They don't want to work with a drill sergeant. They want to feel connected to you, and they want to feel like you will put your heart into their project. So keep it lighthearted. And you can keep all your major terms of service written somewhere on your profile. It's up to them to read. If they ask you a question about your terms, by all means answer them, but try to keep the conversation about the creative process, about the human connection you're making. This does relate to number 4 on my list. Don't be too transactional. Don't be no fun and have no personality. Don't just respond with matter-of-fact responses. Again, don't be a drill sergeant. Don't be all business and no fun. We are making music, and music is supposed to be fun, okay? Number 5 on our list is complicated pricing. Really try to keep this simple. Have a price for lead vocals and have a price for added background arrangement. Yes, you've heard me preach about having an upsell and a downsell, something to default to if your client can't afford your services, such as always quoting with the fully arranged vocal price, but then be able to lower your price just for lead only so that you can accommodate a lower budget. Upsell for expedited services or extensive counterpoint arrangement, things like that. But Other than that, try not to complicate things. It gets confusing. I've seen some singers have this intricate list where they have lead vocal is 300, each additional harmony is 50. This could make the song really expensive, and half the time, the client's not going to know how many harmonies they need. I see people charging for tuning, people charge additional for them to release the song with their voice on it. This is just all too much, and it takes us away from the fun of making the music. It's a turnoff. You've lost their interest. Keep it simple, okay? Next, number 6 is go ahead and tell the client you don't like their creative vision for the song or offer unsolicited advice on how to change their song. Okay, here's how I feel about this. Yes, they are coming to you because you are a trusted professional and you may know how to make their song way better. But if they're specifically asking you to do something, just do it. Don't fight them on their own creative vision. What sounds good to someone isn't always the same preference as someone else. All right. Number 7, don't be late on a deadline. This seems pretty obvious, but this can happen when you overpromise. You may have 2 songs on your list for Monday and can safely assume that you'll be able to deliver the third client's song on Tuesday. But what happens if song 1 ends up being way more extensive than you thought and your voice really starts giving out, so you can't really do the second song yet? Best way to avoid this is to not promise a delivery date, but give the client a delivery window instead. Let them know you'll have it sometime between Tuesday and Thursday and give yourself a cushion. Okay. My 8th note is about ignoring clients' notes, like singing in falsetto when your client emphasizes they want a powerful performance. If you have too much on your plate, you can get scatterbrained and just start recording without rereading your communications with a client. And you may totally forget that they asked for a specific style of performance. They may have asked you to record in 44.1, and since you always record in 48K, you forget. Be diligent, be on point. My 9th tip here is being dishonest about the song being in a bad key for you, okay? I'm sure you want to secure the gig, you want the job, but maybe a song is out of range on the chorus, so you accept the gig without warning the client and you sing the chorus falsetto without telling them that's what you're going to do. I mean, come on. We all know that typically the chorus is the more powerful tone of the song. If a song is out of my full voice range, I ask the client, are you married to this key, or am I allowed to change it if I feel a different key fits my voice better? You may even say, I can record in this key, but I think the performance will sound better if it's a little lower. In this key, I'll have to go into falsetto, and I feel like we'll lose some of that power. They'll respect you for your honesty. You may lose the gig if they don't want to change the key, but they will probably come back to you with another song in the future, and you already have built some great trust with them. Last one is using a crappy microphone, okay? If your mic is under $100, it's not acceptable. If you're going to be paid about $300 for a song, it's not fair to use bad equipment. Make the investment in professional equipment if you want to be a professional. Now, I'm not saying you need to spring for a $3,000 mic right away, but at least start with something like a Blue Bluebird or a Slate M1. It'll be so worth it. A lot of clients might not care too much if your interface is like a Focusrite Scarlett, but look to upgrade your equipment one piece at a time as you start to earn more, okay? So those are the negatives. I recommend to not do those things, but I am an optimist, so I can't just deliver a message about the negatives. So I made a great list of do's to improve your experience with clients. So when they hire you, hopefully they'll hire you more than once. Okay, here are 10 ways things could go well. Number 1, go above and beyond. If you can surprise your client with unexpected ad libs, harmonies, or some counterpoint, and tell them you were just feeling super inspired to add those, that will feel so good to them. I do this a lot, and I always tell them that they can feel free to mute anything they don't need. I'd rather give them too much than not enough, and they're always appreciative of that. 2, we kind of touched on this, but under promise and over deliver on scheduling. Have you ever gotten an Amazon delivery a day or two before it tells you it's supposed to arrive? It's an awesome feeling, right? If you gave a delivery window of Tuesday through Thursday and you send them the song on Monday, that'll probably be super exciting. Only if it's great quality, though. If it sounds like you pulled a rush job just to get paid, that's a whole other problem. So give every song your whole heart. 3rd tip, reiterate what your client is describing for their creative vision back to them. This makes them feel understood and cared for. Bonus points if you can refer to a famous song you know of that may be in alignment with what they're asking. This shows you're knowledgeable and you did your homework. They'll be confident they made the right choice hiring you. Okay, number 4, this is to add a personal touch to the conversation. If you notice the client is from another country and you've been there, tell them. It's fun to hear things like that. Any way that you can find to humanize the conversation and form a personal bond with the client, make them feel more like a friend, it will make a great experience. It's already a real transactional experience to collaborate online in this way, and music is a vulnerable creative endeavor. To collaborate is to enter someone's life. So even something as small as asking if they're a fan of a certain artist that they remind you of, that'll go far. Okay? 5th on the list, stick to your policies, but anytime you have to say no to a client, try your best to frame it with positive language. For example, instead of saying, "You cannot use my name on the release," you could say, "You're welcome to release the song with my vocals on it and list yourself as the artist. My management just asks that I remain uncredited." Or you can have a fake pseudonym people can use. I always say, "You have permission to use my pseudonym, Elizabeth Red," or you can just list your own name as the artist. It's up to you. Keep it nice and friendly. Next tip, compliment their ideas, especially when they ask for revisions. It can be uncomfortable for someone to ask you for such specific performance styles or changes. If you tell them you think it's a great idea, it makes them feel more comfortable. Let them know you love their ideas and you're excited for how the song is going to turn out. Okay. Number 7, send a message with your progress. If a few days have gone by, they're probably super excited and on pins and needles. So when 3 days of silence goes by, it's no fun. You could tell them you've got them next on your list, so they should hear something in the next day or two. Or if it's a writing project, you could tell them the song is written and you plan to record tomorrow. Keeping them informed is great. Okay, number 8, at the end, tell them you can't wait to hear the final mix and leave a very thoughtful review. Don't write a boring templated review. A super thoughtful review will lead to them writing you a super thoughtful review, and they will feel really happy they worked with you. Speaking of templates, by the way, I repeat myself all the time when I write proposals, but I never copy and paste a thing. I always want the chance to write a personal message to another human who's inviting me into their world. A pasted template is impersonal. Okay, 9th on the list, ask good questions ahead of time to prevent the need for revisions later. The easiest way to understand a client's vision is to ask for a famous song they like as a reference. Sometimes it's good to ask questions about the tone they want, such as powerful belted or soft breathy or mid-range chill. But don't ask too many questions or it might start to become a little information overload. Keep in mind as well that everyone has their own language with describing performance styles. Many times someone has told me to do something a specific way and I do it wrong because I interpreted it wrong. That's why I say to reiterate their notes in your own words and to ask for a famous song reference so you can actually hear what they mean. And it usually makes more sense that way too. Lastly, and this is the last part of your collaboration, send stems immediately after they mark your job as complete. Once their funds have been released to you, they want those files. Quick note, I also strongly recommend to never send the files until you've received all the funds. This is your only leverage for making sure you get paid. However, outside of the platforms, if you're working with like a sync licensing client, it is unfortunately common that they pay after receiving everything, sometimes even up to a year after the song has aired if it's a big network, which is another reason why I like having a sync licensing agency to represent me so they can secure the money for me. So that's really 20 big tips to make sure your collaborations and communications are amazing. This is the big key to longevity in your career. When people have a good experience with you, they come back over and over again. They refer you to friends. And above all, you will be more proud of your work. And it feels so wonderful to see happy clients. Remember what a gift it is to be able to be the voice for someone's creative expression. It's really a beautiful thing that we get to be part of. Be grateful for your clients. Love your clients, even when they're being hard to love. Each song is their baby, and they are trusting you with it. My singers, all right, that is all for today. Go out there and put these tips into practice. Remember, you can join us on the first Friday of each month at SSP Live, our monthly Singers Mastermind Zoom call. Sign up for that and check out all the other resources at singersuccesspath.com. Leave a comment and subscribe on YouTube. Leave a review on Apple. This is all I ask for you to help get the word out to more singers. Okay? See you soon. Thank you so much.